Ryan Poles alludes that he could be very content with only having 4 picks heading into the 2024 draft. We're going to take a look at those comments and see why he's so confident in the talent that the Bears could get at number 9 without having to trade back. We're also going to look at the Bears' potential to still add a center to this roster if that's something that they still are and should be looking for. And we now know the Bulls' offseason workout dates. We're going to get into all that and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that being said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. So there was the meetings going on, the NFL owners meetings were going on, and in that, Ryan Poles alluded to the fact that the Bears could very well be fine staying with the 4 picks that they have in this draft. The Bears currently have picks 1, 9, 75, and 122 as far as their overall numbers. And when you look after the Bears pick in have 2 picks in the top 10, we don't pick again to number 75. So that's left quite of a little bit of gap there that Bears fans are thinking that points to Ryan Poles being willing or should be looking to trade down and accumulate more picks. When Ryan Poles at the NFL league meetings in Orlando was asked if he's content with having only 4 picks, he said that, yeah, they're content with it if there are no good offers on the table is the way that they really looked at it. And so we already know. I've talked about it ad nauseum. I'm not even going to go into a list of players again. There are players at key positions that the Bears do need, that positions that the Bears need to fill that can be there at number 9. When it comes down to it, it's just how Ryan Poles really evaluates that. And really let's take a look. I understand the mindset of getting more bites at the apple, right? When you look at it as well, Ryan Poles even saying that they've had 25 picks in 3 years due to the trades that he's made. And that is a whole hell of a lot of picks. That is the most in the NFL over that time period. And that just, it makes sense to what Ryan Poles has done, especially when you consider, how he came in. And a lot of that draft capital was gone. He had no first-round picks in his first year here drafting in Chicago on top of that. So when you look at everything in totality, Ryan Poles feels very confident in what he's done and how also he's used the picks in this year's draft to add veteran talent. You look at the second-round pick being used on Montez Sweat, a 4th-round pick being used on Keenan Allen. Those are all players. Those are both players at positions that we absolutely needed to shore up. And you got veterans in that. Yeah, one that's a little bit longer in the tooth than Keenan Allen. Montez Sweat still has plenty of football ahead of him. But, when it comes down to it, there is a chance that the Bears absolutely stick and stay at number 4. And, we'll see what happens with that one, man. I think ultimately, I get where a lot of Bears fans are looking and questioning what he's done. And, the thing is, and people ask, what Ryan Poles has really done differently. When you look at what he's done, we talked about those 25 picks over 3 years. Let's just look at the day one starters he got in there. Darnell Wright, Tyreek Stevenson, Kyler Gordon, Jaquan Brisker, Braxton Jones. Now, Braxton, we all know we do want to see an upgrade or at least to see him develop. And when you compare those first 2 drafts that Ryan Poles had compared to the starters that Ryan Pace came out of, he had Eddie Goldman, Amos, Leonard Floyd, Cody Whitehair, Jordan Howard at running back, and then Grasu as well at the center position, even though Grasu ended up getting hurt, not playing a long time. But then you got where the difference is also the depth that he's gotten from those positions. For example, Pace only drafted in his first 2 years 5 backups. That was Langford, Jonathan Bullard, Deion Bush, and DeAndre DHC, and I'm not going to say that full name, and then as well as the linebacker Nick, I can't pronounce the name, I'm going to murder it. But then when you look at what Ryan Poles has done as far as this, and some of these backups are still technically starters. You look at Terrell Smith, he's been a starter since day one, right? So you throw that in there as well. Javon Dexter, projecting right now to be a starter on this team this year. Roshan Johnson, Tyler Scott, Noel Sewell, Velus Jones, Dominique Robinson, who showed a lot of initial flashes, was kind of falling off. Elijah Hicks, J. Tyree Carter, Doug Kramer. So Poles has done a pretty damn good job. And that's not even to mention a player like an undrafted rookie he got in Jack Sanborn and Tyson Bagent as well. Poles has done a pretty damn good job evaluating talent. Are every draft pick going to hit? No. Nobody's going to say that. But through his first 2 years, he's done a pretty damn good job And you got to give him credit for how he's been able to find that, right? And even Dominique Robinson started some games for the Chicago Bears in 2022, but things didn't go as well for him in the starting lineup. So he's played a pretty damn good or done a pretty damn good job at getting and adding depth to this team, both in the starting lineup and in backups. And that's what you want. That's what you want. Ryan Poles has had successful drafts. He's been more successful than he hasn't. Doesn't mean that everything is going to hit. Doesn't mean everything is going to work out. But I do think that at this point, if Ryan Poles does not trade down at that number 9 position and decides to go with it, it's because of his evaluation of the talent. And I, for one, you guys can speak for yourselves, I think that he deserves some credit and some grace to see how it's going to turn out and if it ends up working out long-term for the Chicago Bears as well. But it's good to know that the Bears and Ryan Poles is very confident and content with only having 4 picks in this draft. If that's how it shakes out and there are no good offers on the table, it all comes down to the value that he finds in everything and the talent. And if he feels like he can find some really good talent and get more depth at picks, he'll do that. But if the talent that's there at number 9 is at a position of need for the Chicago Bears and he evaluates that talent over what he can get in trading back, that's what Ryan Poles is going to do. And I guess we'll see what happens with that one. But with that said, one of the positions that, there are a lot of questions. We were live yesterday, and a lot of Bears fans in the live had the questions about the center position, right? We know that Ryan Bates, I even think it came out those same meetings that Matt Eberflus did, point towards Bates being the starter possibly at the center position. Him and Coleman Shelton are going to battle over that position. But it's left a lot of Bears fans ask, what are we doing with the center? You guys know I have some hope that maybe Connor Williams doesn't find a deal and eventually he's signed by the Chicago Bears on kind of a 1-year prove it, stay healthy deal. But then when you look at it, there's only one center in this draft that could go in the first round, and that's Jackson Powers Johnson. Now, we already know that the Bears tight end coach Jim Dre was there at the Senior Bowl, so he's got to take an up close look at him. But the fact is that drafting him at number 9 overall would be a reach. That would be a position where you can still get him by trading back, and if the Bears have him locked in as their guy number 9, I can see the Bears trading back, getting more picks to still walk away with Jackson Powers Johnson. But when you look at it, if you want to get that extra draft capital, cool. A lot of the centers as well are going to probably go in the second round. When you look at centers that could get some interest right in the draft, you got Zach Frazier from West Virginia. You got Cedric Van Pran from Georgia. You got Tanner Bortoli from Wisconsin. You got Hunter Norzad, I believe is how you pronounce it, out of Penn State. So there are definitely centers that you can get here. Now, the Bears have upgraded their center position. I think everybody kind of who asked that question and wonder what the Bears are going to do at center, let's first acknowledge that the center position has been upgraded. Now, I know that people want to see a true center there, a young guy, but maybe it's not the best to have a rookie starting center with your new rookie quarterback that's going to come in and you're trying to get them acclimated. So the Bears could very well still look later in the draft to get a center that then can develop, right? And that may be where the Bears are going. We'll see if they can look at that rookie class, draft a center who then, can be looked at as grooming to be the starting center in 2025, but you're going with your more veteran options there. So Bates' contract expires after the 2025 season, so that'll allow that time. He can move to depth piece if you do groom and grow a new starting center there. So that kind of makes sense. Again, Post doing some looking forward to that has given him giving him that space on how much time he has to find that starting caliber center for the Chicago Bears. But like I said, I'm giving some credit where credit's due right now until something else happens. But I definitely think that the Bears are going to make the right decision. And hopefully that goes with getting a new, whether that's a center that we look at is going to be a starter in the future or to get a young center in here now. But I think the signs, kind of reading the tea leaves, kind of tell me, and people can have a difference of opinion, that the Bears are probably not going to go center, at least not early in this draft. So they're probably not going to get a starting caliber center if that's the case, and there's nothing wrong with that. So the Bears have tons of options, like at number 9, like I talked about, that still would definitely improve the team. And I'll briefly mention these guys because, again, just to mention the names, I know people like names. Joe Alt, if he falls there, I think the Bears absolutely take Joe Alt. If he falls to number 9, if somehow he's there at number 9, you take Joe Alt. Romo Dunze, another player that you guys know, wide receiver out of Washington. I'm extremely high on this guy. You get a couple of years of having him not needing to be the number 1 receiver, and I like that as well. And then Brock Bowers, right? Those are probably the three that you look at most if they fall to number 9. Brock Bowers, a tight end. I've talked about how Shane Waldron could use him as a pseudo kind of slot receiver at times if he chooses to do so. So it could add some versatility there. But then you hear things like the Bears are interested in a player like Fatano from Washington State. Now, I think that this is a guy, if you're going to draft him, he can be gotten later in the draft. I don't think he's going to go before number 9. Now, the question is how far down can you go and still get him, right? When you look at Darnell Wright and what he was able to do, Troy Fatano was more or less athletic than that. He's a guy that definitely, he could potentially play guard and tackle at the next level. And so I really like the addition of that, but I think that's a trade back scenario if you go after him. And then Jared Verse. If you guys have been around here for a while, you know I've been talking about Jared Verse for a long time, but I do think that is another guy that you could potentially get by trading back. Dallas Turner, if he falls to number 9, I'd still kind of be interested in trading back just to get those assets, get Jared Verse there. So there's a lot of potential there for the Chicago Bears to look and see what they're going to do with those positions. But overall, I think that Ryan Poles is going to make the right decision, and I'm going to trust it. Now, again, if he does something, even if he does something I don't necessarily didn't expect, I'm not going to hold it against him too much, right? I'm going to wait and see it out on how it shakes out because, I was somebody who was surprised the Bears didn't go after Jaquan Brisker. I was super surprised by that. So, but it ended up working out, right? When the Bears didn't go after George Pickens and decided to get Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, it ended up working out for the Bears. So, we'll see what happens with that one. But then you got to kind of pivot, right? Depending on what the Bears do at number 9, what does that mean for the other positions? Can you still get a wideout, for example, later in the draft? And one of the wideouts, I think somebody brought it up in the chat as well, so I want to talk about, is Xavier Legette out of South Carolina, 6'1", 220 pounds, had a solid combine, ran a 4.3 40, good time there, had a 40-inch vertical on top of it. He had a solid season. Now, there's some concern there because when he kind of showed out in a lot of ways, it was in his 5th year as a senior, but he had 1,255 yards receiving last year for an average of 17, almost 18 yards per reception, 7 touchdowns. So, there's some sign that maybe you can look at. Total in his 5 years of collegiate football, total of 1,678 yards. That's an average of 14.8 yards per reception and 12 touchdowns. So he is a guy where you can get. Now, the question is, you already bet on a guy like that and kind of Velus Jones. You've bet on that a little bit, so you may not want to go to that well again, but he is somebody that the Bears absolutely could take a look at. Him and Roman Wilson out of Michigan are 2 other wide receivers that you could look at in this draft if you don't go wide receiver early. I just don't think that they have the same kind of – they're not nearly as close to the wide receivers that you can get ahead of that, right? So that's what you kind of have to weigh with the Chicago Bears, and that's why I don't envy the position that Ryan Poles is in at all. But, we'll see what comes of that. Now, as far as the rest of the offseason, though, we have now kind of more clear dates on things that are happening with this Bears this offseason. So the offseason program for the Chicago Bears, since they do not have a rookie head coach, starts April 15th. That's the earliest that you can start it. With OTA workouts happening on May 20th through the 21st. Again, May 23rd, just one day there. May 28th through the 29th, and then May 31st. That's when OTAs are going to be there. And then the Bears' first mandatory minicamp is going to be June 4th through the 6th. So look out for that one. But that's kind of the dates for the Chicago Bears, man. Then you have your phases after that, but we aren't too far away from the offseason program beginning for the Chicago Bears. People are going to be reporting back to Hallis Hall. We're going to get some reports on the chemistry, how the new rookie quarterback is working with the wide receivers. We're not too far away from that, man. And this is an exciting time to be a Chicago Bears fan. And this is going to be an exciting season. I know people have doubt, rightfully so, about a lot of the moves and Caleb and things like that. And, we'll end up seeing how this team shakes out. But I can't wait till the pads are back on, till we're actually talking about actual football things, talking about practices, getting ready for the preseason. We know we got the Hall of Fame game. Will be the first preseason game of the season. Starters may not play in that, but I think this is a really exciting period of time to be a Chicago Bears fan, and we're going to see how things shake out. You guys know we're the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. We're going to be live around here, and, we'll continue to watch, man. And, this is going to be a season where all eyes are going to be in the Bears for a lot of reasons. We're 25 days away from the NFL draft. And, once it's official that Caleb Williams is drafted or whatever the Bears end up doing, that just is what it is. And at that point, it's looking at how we can best support it, how the Bears can be the best team that they can be with what they have. And I, for one, as somebody who covers this team every single day, I can't wait to talk about it and get to see it. But let me know your guys' thoughts down below. Make sure you're following the show at Bull Central Pod. Wrong show. You can follow the show at Shy Bear Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And then lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, thanks to you guys. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.